Hello, everybody. It is Sunday, January 28th at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and today we are viewing the launch of the Starlink Group 638 mission to low Earth orbit. Today I am solo streaming. I can't really get a hold of Chase. Um, I thought he said he was gonna be streaming with me, but as he is tracked out, he's on vacation. So, I guess if he's not necessarily here, um, it's fine. So, y'all just have to deal with me. And, yeah. And I don't know why there's freaking ads on live streams. Hopefully I don't get an unfortunately timed ad. But anyway, I'm just going to say that today, of course, like I said, we were going to view the launch of the Falcon 9 from Cape Canaveral. It is standing proud on pad 39A, which is pretty historic. It's done a lot of historic things on that launch pad. The Saturn V launched from there. The space shuttle launched from there. The Falcon Heavy had its first flight on there. And now a Falcon 9 is launching from it today. Oh, also I forgot to mention the crew tower. It's a crew tower now. Next major milestone, I probably should mention that. I'm just trying to think of things to say because usually I would have Chase. Next major milestone is engine chill because we know engines get really, really hot, but they also get really, really cold in some places. So to avoid them getting thermally shocked at liftoff, they run a bit of the cold propellant through the engines prematurely. Well, it's scheduled, so it's not really premature, but so that it just doesn't get thermally shocked and cause a rut at liftoff. I have a little side note here while I'm thinking of things to say. I have this little SpaceX poster from a few years ago. I have one of the Falcon, which is pretty up to date. They don't make too many changes. It's a redundant vehicle with all the same parts usually. But I have one of Starship, and just to show how fast they innovate, I don't think I'm gonna turn my camera on, but I'm just looking at it and I'm going through. Okay, this is outdated. This is outdated. This is outdated. I wonder when they made this relative to when I got this, because this is such an old design. It says there's 28 Raptors on a weird layout. Nope, there's 33 Raptors. It doesn't land on landing legs. It will end up landing, getting caught by these giant arms on the tower that also work pretty well for stacking Starship. Let's see, what else? The fin design has been changed a bit. Grid fins stay out during flight. On this, they're tucked in. The Raptor engine got upgraded. And I believe that it's also a few feet off in height. So that's just a pretty nifty thing. Show how fast they innovate over at SpaceX. This was, albeit accurate for its time. Yeah. Bear with me, I'm trying to get this back on my wall. You can see Falcon 9 standing there on the pad, awaiting liftoff. Everything seems to be nominal. I'm gonna listen into this question because it seems interesting.
And we don't really know exactly. I think we don't really know and get like a full amount of insight of why they actually why this was like super delayed. It usually it tends to happen a bit more with like higher.
Yeah, because I'm curious. B10. I don't know what I was gonna type. B10 58 No, 62. What am I on about? B1062 um dash 17. Yeah, let's see. What was the history? What took so long? This wasn't what I believe it was. Um okay. It was last in November, which has been a long time from now, relatively speaking. Yeah, let's see. No, this is the wrong one. Ay, 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 I don't have everything organized. Like, Chase, I need you here. I need your help. Um, yes. I know, Watch, I know. Here? No. They've got to have data somewhere. Nope. Alright, here it is, here it is, here it is. It was last used on Starlink 630, and it's been 40 days, which I don't think that's long. Like, Starlink 623 was long. Um, yeah, this is all the turnaround times. There was no turnaround time because that was its first use, and then it took 200 days. You could see the cadence getting higher and higher. Then 90 days, then 100 days, then 90 days, then 21 days, which was their record. They literally had it ready in 7 days, but they didn't have any satellites to launch. So, because everything else already had a booster mated to it. Nilesat pretty soon. Yeah, you could just see how the cadence bounces around with a generally lower, if you look at it, like it generally goes down. We are currently 7 minutes from launch, so the engine show must be starting now. Um, that will. I don't know if it will be evident because the engine bay is a bit blocked, but yeah, whatever. And you can see that there are vapors coming off the rocket. That is normal. It's because there's cryogenic propellant. You might notice short puffs from certain areas. That is also normal. That is just it keeping its pressurization at the perfect point. Yeah, where'd my phone go? Under my chair. Keeps falling. T minus 6 minutes and 12 seconds. Next major milestone is strong back retract, where the thing holding up the rocket will open its main clamps and tilt that back a few degrees to get ready for liftoff. At liftoff, it will throw itself back another 40 or so degrees. On the East Coast infrastructure, at strong back retract, it only goes back a few degrees and then it'll throw itself back at liftoff. But on the West Coast, just a little nifty thing, I guess. It already like it'll immediately go back to launch position. So I just think nifty, I guess. And I think that was the West Coast is the oldest infrastructure. At least they started in California, and uh,
It's a great way to support the work that we do. People say,
yeah, now we got some more light. Still not a lot, but anyway, where was I? Let me think. I have no idea where I was. Oh yeah, infrastructure. I think Hawthorne is, or not Hawthorne necessarily, but what is this? Whatever it's called. Vandenberg is the oldest. One of their headquarters hors d'oeuvres is in Hawthorne, but yeah. Even if, yeah, sorry, I was gonna say, even if the East Coast infrastructure is older, it got blown up at one point. That was like the last. That was because on an older model of Falcon 9, a composite overwrapped pressure vessel, basically a really, really high pressure thing of helium. I don't know if it's pressurized to the point where helium is just forced to be a liquid. I'm not sure. Um, but it basically had a leak, and then the second stage couldn't handle it, and then kablooey get the launch pad, thus adding to the rivalry between Musk and Zuckerberg, because Facebook's satellite was on there, because apparently Facebook does satellites. I don't know. Not my area of knowledge. At T minus 3 minutes, which is approaching, stage 1 fueling will be completed, and at T minus 2 minutes, stage 2 fueling will be completed, and that should be it, and you will see some venting afterwards. That is perfectly normal. And I also must mention that, I also must mention, why? Okay, no, you're not doing this to me. I also must mention that after liftoff, I have to say this so I'm not like trying to cram it in before stage separation. You'll notice that the flames, as they go up, get wider and wider, and that's because there's less atmosphere holding them together, because atmosphere, whether you notice it or not, exerts a lot of pressure. And if there was no atmosphere, well, basically everything would be that relies on air pressure would be very, very enlarged if they still had air in it, but that's a spiel for another day. Basically, you can see that the plume will widen, and that's why there's one bigger thing on the second stage, one bigger engine instead of a bunch of smaller engines. Is even though it only has like 40% more thrust, maybe not even 40%, like 20-30%, it is more optimized for space, because you want your expansion ratio, which is the combustion chamber of the engine, the part where it like tapers down. You would want that. You would want it to be basically infinitely wide if there were 0 molecules in space, but obviously it can't be infinitely wide for that kind of efficiency, because infinite, and it just so happens that there are some random floating molecules out in space, so they get the closest that they can by using the M1D engine. But vehicles in startup, I got my spiel out the way, and we have to listen for go for launch.
Is going to give the go for launch, and at this point, the vehicle is going to take over control of the countdown.
Also, if you notice why the countdowns are different,
so we should be
is
seeing
because
that happening
SpaceX is using a higher latency stream.
They're flushed of all of their propellants, all clean, all safe, ready for liftoff. Past T minus 30 seconds here. We have the go for launch. Go for launch tonight.
That is usually the final go for launch, unless something random like emergency happens, but after T minus 10 seconds, it's all up to the computers whether it goes or not. So, yeah, terminal count. T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. Engines full power. Liftoff. And there goes Falcon 9 into low Earth orbit, carrying 23 Starlink satellites to its Shell 6. someone's car alarm. That's beautiful. But next major milestone is max Q, which is maximum aerodynamic pressure on the rocket, and the engines will throttle down to make
Alright,
sure
and we are
there's
just
not too
past
much
T plus
pressure.
1 minute into count. You can hear that incredible loud launch audio, so loud it set off some car alarms out the light.
Yep. And a vehicle is at that point where the plume starts interacting with the atmosphere. Something I didn't mention, but it happens on pretty much all rocket launches that I've seen so far. Don't worry, totally normal. It's not like a trail. Also, I do have to mention, I knew there was going to be something that I forget to mention because there's so much to do with the rockets and there's so much nerdy knowledge that I know. Rockets really don't have much of an impact on the atmosphere if you really think about it. Everyday astronaut did a breakdown. It's a few years ago, and of course, cadence of rocket launches has gone up, but it was like 0.00005% of emissions, and it's probably more than it was. So yeah, I'm not saying that emissions aren't a worry. I'm just saying that rockets aren't a worry, and if we figure out a way to use rockets in a more sustainable manner, like instead of using 15 rockets, we just use one Starship. Yeah, I think you get the idea. And we are coming up on Miko. And here we go, Miko. Stage separation confirmed. MVAC ignition. MVAC just stands for Merlin vacuum. And the booster is pretty much just coasting downrange to the drone ship that it will be landing on tonight, which I'm not sure which one it is. I'm trying to hope that Just Read the Instructions has been repaired. Because it definitely got pretty whacked up with B1058. Apparently it wasn't like horribly damaged, but it was to the point that, you know, it already had a lot of like just normal damage, so might as well send it in now. Let's see. Oh, I forgot to mention Ingenuity, the helicopter on Mars that was designed for 5 flights, of course unmanned, had done 75 maybe, but it also, one of its propellers struck the ground, and very sadly, it basically, yeah, you get the idea. One of the propellers struck the ground. I'm trying to read you an update. Ingenuity. And of course, I'm too lazy to spell. Ingenuity. Sorry, guys, I'm not focusing too much. Someone said best dang helicopter that ever coptered. It was Flight 72. And it's not so much as opportunity that one rover that had the internet up in shambles because someone basically took the situation that it was in and wrote a little end message to it. It was like, my battery is my battery is low and it's getting dark, and people started like making memes, but also in a heartful manner. It's time to go. Was I a good helicopter? No. I was told you're the best. So yeah. Oh my gosh. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory made a meme, of course. It like had the whole them. There's no way you'll ever fly a helicopter on Mars. Ingenuity? Oh hi. And it's just a gif of it landing. Alright, well, I'd autofocus because it is doing its entry burn. I totally didn't notice, but somehow they caught it doing its entry burn. That is a way of slowing it down on its atmospheric reentry, and like I said, that stream had a little bit latency, so you caught the end of the landing burn there. I'm sorry, I was trying to read stuff for Ingenuity. I'm gonna look back at this and say, frick, that's embarrassing, but whatever. And we are currently T plus 7 minutes, and you can see plasma starting to build up on the grid fins. And if you ever wonder why it comes back so sooty, it's because of carbon-based fuel, and during the entry burn, it flies through its own plume. Apparently, flying through its own plume is better than getting racked by plasma, even harder than it is right now. But yeah. And I guess just read the instructions is still stuck doing something. Looks like it's still next to Charleston, so yay. And it is currently 3 kilometers above the deck or so, and is about to begin its landing burn. Stage 1 landing burn startup. And of course, the fact that it's trying to talk to a satellite while shaking like crazy isn't helping too much. But SpaceX likes to flex the fact that they use Starlink, and instead of cutting out for a minute like it used to do, it only cuts out for maybe a second. And as you can see, Stage 1 has landed on the drone ship. They will bring it back to port for refurbishing, and hopefully not to end up like B-1058. And it is now that Seco occurs, and I have no more streaming to do. You can follow SpaceX's, I guess X account, but yeah, you can follow them for updates. I will be here in a few days for another stream. I don't know what yet. There's so many streams that I don't know if I'll be able to do, and some that I definitely won't be able to do. But I thank everyone for watching, and goodbye.